In snooker, Jimmy White was victorious 4 frames to 1. So in the overall picture, White leads 4-3, and he must win outright in tonight's 8-ball if he's to dethrone the defending champion, Steve Mizerak. To get things started right now, let's go to Tony Francis.
Now then, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, prepare for the final conflict here at the Casino de Deauville. We've had straight pool, we've had snooker. All that's left is the 8-ball pool to decide the winner of this unique event. Which player is the master cueman? Which sport will come out on top? Now, leading 4-3 after the first 2 legs, here he comes now, the world's #2 snooker player from Wimbledon, London, Jimmy White. And will you now welcome the reigning champion and favourite to retain his title from Perth Amboy, New Jersey, Steve Mizerak. Well, I'll hand you over presently to our international commentary team up there in the box, John Pullman and Pat Scanlon. In the meantime, referee Len Ganley, it's all yours.
Thank you, Tony. Good game, Steve. Good game, Jimmy. Call it, Steve. It is a tail.
That was the same thing I had yesterday.
Well, Jimmy White calling tail, so his
First
option,
game,
and he'll break.
Jimmy White, you break.
As we begin 8-ball. The table is open for Steve Mizerak.
Yes, I would think that might be a little bit ominous, Pat, because very often 1 or 2 or even 3 balls go in from the break, I believe. But it didn't happen there.
Mizerak can choose either a solid or stripe, high or low if you prefer. Our English audience may call them spots or stripes. Mizerak, the favorite in this American event. Common pub game in the U.S., John.
Yes, and so it is in England, but not on this size of table. They played in England on a 6x3, this being a 9x4.5.
So Mizerak makes the spot or solid. Now shooting the 1 ball into the corner pocket. Combinations are fair game, and as we said, you don't have to call your pocket in this game.
And that shot was quite amazing to me, Pat, because nowhere in the world would that have gone in on a snooker table.
Of course, it rattled around the cushion and in. The pockets on the American competition table much larger than a snooker table. Steve's made 3 balls now. Jimmy White going to school again this evening at a game foreign to him. Although I believe, John, with his natural stroke as a shot maker, he'll have a pretty good chance at 8-ball.
Well, I think he must be in with a chance, although, of course, he hasn't anything like the experience of Steve at this game. But he's such a natural potter that he must be in with a chance.
Mizerak finding the side pocket.
Because the thing we should explain, I think, Pat, to listeners, is that Jimmy must win this by at least 3 sets to 2 in order to win the championship.
Right, he has to win tonight's 8-ball outright. There was a tiebreaker, a combined run of straight pool and snooker. Mizerak had a run of 75 at straight pool and 52 at snooker for a 127 tiebreaker total. Jimmy White had a run of 24 at straight pool and 65 at snooker for a total of 89. So White will find no comfort in the tiebreaker situation. It belongs to Mizerak. Mizerak now gives White a chance at the table. Unhappy with his shot. Jimmy shooting the highs or striped balls. And almost made the 9. Not the ball he was shooting, but would have counted if it went. Now Mizerak with 2 balls left on the table before he gets to the 8 ball. Trying to come back to pick up the 3. And I'm not sure if he can see it, John.
Oh, yes, he can pot that one. That position on the 8 ball is the thing.
He kisses it off the cushion.
That looks pretty good.
Now he calls the 8 ball.
8 ball in the corner pocket.
In the corner pocket, as Len Ganley points out. And the first game of the first set to Steve Mizerak.
First game.
How many awards you get? You never do it alone. It takes teamwork.
On the first
second
set,
game, first set.
Steve Mizerak to break. Winning the first game of the first set. Best of 5 games to determine the set. Mizerak pockets the 14.
Strike ball down.
Which means, Pat, I think that Steve now is on the strike balls.
That's correct for our English viewers listening in tonight and not having a chance to perhaps see this game as it's being played under these tournament conditions and regulations. 9 ball, corner pocket. In this leg of the Fiat Challenge, $10,000 to the winner of tonight's straight pool, $6,666 to the runner-up. And of course, in the overall picture, a $25,000 bonus to the overall winner and $10,000 second place money. Steve wanted to bring
Foul stroke.
the ball back into the side pocket. In doing so,
Right. Sorry, Jimmy.
sank one of Jimmy's balls.
No. That's one of your balls now.
So in actual fact, a little bit of confusion there. In fact, it wasn't a foul stroke, it was just a giveaway. Means that Jimmy has 1 less ball to pot.
That's right, the ball does stay in the pocket. Kind of an early birthday gift for White, who's 26 years old. That shot appreciated by the crowd here at the Casino de Deauville. Jimmy getting his jitters out of the way. Run of 3 now.
Yes, and I would suggest, Pat, that Jimmy is such a devastating potter that anything is on for him on this table. It's larger pockets than the snooker table.
Of course, that term, one of the many differences we have in pool and snooker terminology, potting. Nicely done by Jimmy as he puts 2 home.
Black in the side pocket.
Now calling the 8-ball in the side pocket.
And that should be no trouble at all.
Second game for set Jimmy White.
So Jimmy White pulls even, winning the second game. We're tied 1-1 in the first set. It went to Mizerak last year. Jimmy White trying to wrest it from his hands as he breaks to open game 3 of the first set.
Foul stroke.
And he scratches on the break. Now Mizerak has the option of positioning the cue ball, looking over the situation to see whether he'll want the highs or lows. And he'll take the highs.
Switch off your flash.
Which is stripes for our English audience. Steve knows his way around the table. Karen Mizerak looking on here in Deauville. Steve, a 4-time U.S. Open pool champion. His first major tournament victory in 1970, and he won it for 4 straight years. It had never been done before.
And from the position of the balls, Pat, I would think, looking at it purely as a snooker player, of course, I would think there's no great problem for him to clear up here. Getting that cue ball in the right.
Surprising when Mizerak leaves the table for White. Of course, in straight pool, Steve ran 71 to win the first game, and then 75 to win the second game. 2 outstanding runs. Steve cuts the 13 into the corner pocket.
Now this, I think, Pat, the 9-ball. And no problem at all.
And he brings back the cue ball for a shot at the 11. Tied at 1. First set. And John, might I suggest these are the type of shots that
8
Jimmy
ball,
White
corner pocket.
makes so easily on a snooker table. 8-ball corner pocket. And so Mizerak now taking a 2-game-to-1 lead in the first set.
Third game
1
for
game
set,
away
Steve Mizerak.
from a first set victory. Mizerak opening the 4th game on the break. Powers into the balls. And he'll have his choice of a high and low.
1 plain, 1 strike ball.
Make both strikes and solid, right?
Yes, 1 of each.
And no choices. Not even 2 choices.
Steve will often change cues using a heavier cue for the break and then go back to a 21-ounce cue. getting that extra ounce or two of power and leverage into those balls, and you really do get a great deal of force, John, into the break.
And there surely must be no man with more power than Steve. He had quite a few pounds to go behind that cue as well.
Mizerak has elected to take the low or spotted balls. He's left himself with an easy shot. And the nice English, if you'll allow me, John, to back it up.
Yes, I'm not quite so sure whether I appreciate that American expression of yours. When one puts on side, it's putting on English, but we'll let it go.
Steve now with 1, 2, 3 balls on the table before he gets to the 8 ball. Now shooting, or at least having a notion, at the 3. Of course, Jimmy White faced with some moments to contemplate as we see him behind Steve. He spent a great part of the evening in straight pool on the chair, but he did enjoy himself at snooker. Now Steve left with the 5. And the green 6, resting outside the side pocket. John, might I suggest the cue ball control in this game? A distant similarity to snooker.
Yes, except that the only difference, Pat, being that, of course, at snooker one has to go red and colour alternately. Here, you know, one has a lot of balls to get onto. It doesn't really matter. Not so much at this game as at straight pool.
Mizerak sinking the 8 ball to win the 3rd game, taking the first set 3-1 over Jimmy White. Here's how we stand in our overall Fiat Challenge scoring. Mizerak, with 1 set in his side pocket, is now tied White 4 games apiece. We'll be back in Deauville right after this.
3rd game, 2nd set. Steve Mizerak to break.
Nice crowd here at the Casino de Deauville in Normandy, France. Steve Mizerak won the 1st set, leading the 2nd, 2-0. We're underway in game 3. Steve a bit unlucky at the break again. So Jimmy White back to the table. With the table open, White elects to go for the lows. Now White nudges the 3 ball into the corner pocket. There's one of Jimmy White's biggest fans. This young lady flew in from the Shetland Islands, about 8 hours, a couple of different flights. to watch Snooker's number 2 take on Steve Mizerak. John, were they that devoted when you were a world champion 11 years running?
Now, I wasn't that lucky, Pat, actually. Of course, we didn't appear too often on television in those days.
White playing a safety shot. Got the cue ball to the cushion. Now Mizerak. 1 game away from taking the second set of our $85,000 Fiat Challenge. Steve can't cut the 11 to the side pocket. An unusual miss for Mizerak. And he wants a closer look.
Jimmy, they're attempting, I would think, to do a little bit of disturbing of the 5 balls that are down on the left-hand side of the table. But didn't make contact with those.
Takes the 5 in the corner. I think that time took a whack at things.
He's part of the straight along with his...
Sunk one of his and
Yes.
one of Mizerak, so he'll stay at the table.
Jimmy, I don't think, was too sure of that, Pat. Quite happy to find himself still at the table.
Now Jimmy takes the 6. Leaves himself in good position on the 2 ball. And backs the cue ball up for a crack at the 8 ball.
Well, this should be no trouble at all for Jimmy.
Black
Back
ball,
into the
corner
corner
pocket.
pocket.
And Jimmy White
3rd game, 2nd set, Jimmy
wins the
White.
3rd game. So in his 2nd set, he trails 2 games to 1. Already 1 set down to Mizerak.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Game 4. And it seems, John, he hasn't got the break down just yet.
Now, he doesn't really know how to play that shot, obviously. If one hits it hard enough, chances are that the ball will go in.
Standing room only at the Casino de Deauville. Many coming to get a look at our 2 contestants who've both been recognized throughout the French resort community. Mizerak plays the combination. So he'll go with the stripes or high balls.
Well, doesn't seem too happy with that one. I think another couple of inches travel on the cue ball would have suited him better.
John, this looks like a snooker break with all the balls and basically in one half of the table.
Yes, it very often happens, Pat.
Steve perhaps looking at the 9.
Well, I don't think he can see that, Pat, otherwise he would surely have been down and potted it by now.
And he plunks it home. Not much room to work with. Mizerak, one of the big names in pool in the United States, gained fame in a 1979 beer commercial where he did a trick shot, John, and called it a little showing off. And he's been doing it ever since.
Yes, I think he'd like to produce one at this moment too, Pat, because there doesn't seem to be an obvious ball on.
The
Probably
eyes
studying
going.
to see where the safest part of the table would be for him to leave the cue ball. Unless he brings off some extraordinary trick shot.
The 3 ball sitting in front of the pocket, stymieing him. And almost got the 11 behind the 3 ball, but it didn't carry him in. Here's Jimmy White now. Told me this was a little like a game he played in the pub once called poker pool.
Yes, you mentioned that the other day, Pat. That's one that got away from me. I don't know that one. Perhaps I haven't frequented the places that Jimmy does.
Could be. Here's Jimmy looking at the 3. All the way down the rail. Now the 1 in the side pocket. Jimmy does shoot with rapid pace.
Yes, one side of the ball and the next shot is through on the shot.
2 balls left on the table. He's got the 5 and has left himself in nice position. And now looking only at the 8 ball
Black in the corner pocket.
to draw even.
This is a tough one because the cue ball a little bit close to the cushion. Oh, what a top.
4th game.
Nicely
second
done
set,
by Jimmy White, who's even this second set at 2 games apiece. A large crowd on hand. Jimmy White within a game of winning the second set. We're tied at 2. But White fails to pocket on the break. And now Steve Mizerak. White needs to win this 8-ball competition outright tonight if he's to win the Fiat Challenge title.
And needs to win this game, of course, Pat, because they're 2-all in this second set. Needs to win this to level the 8-ball at 1 set all.
Best of 5 sets, each set a best of 5 games. A pensive Mizerak as he weighs the options. The table is open. Whether to elect for a solid or a stripe.
Yes, it looks at the moment, Pat, as if he's trying to work this out like a road map.
Weighing not just one or two shots, but perhaps every shot up to the 8 ball.
Sorry, it took me so long.
Well, Steve's certainly giving this some thought. 2 options, I would think. One in the corner pocket, one of the high balls, or one of the solids into the middle being a more difficult shot. Now he's electing to play something entirely different.
Looking at the 7 ball in the corner pocket.
Well, that was one that I didn't think he could get through to.
John, this table very much different than the snooker table we saw in the second leg of the challenge. 4.5 by 9 feet, wider pockets, of course, bigger balls. Cuts the 1 into the side pocket. And leaves himself I believe on the 6. Mizerak making the 6. We can think about the 3 in the corner pocket. A very important game in this second set. Tied 2 apiece. Steve backs it up.
And backed that out extremely well.
Well,
Little kiss onto one of his balls had made that on.
Now Steve on the 2. Comes back and broke up the 4.
Well, this would be a difficult position at snooker, but not too difficult to sneak this one in.
Good look at the pocket.
hurry.
And now he comes back for the 5 ball sitting along the rail. You know, Steve like a surgeon with a scalpel on the table right now. He's got the 5, and now he calls 8 ball.
Corner pocket.
Corner pocket.
And a dead straight pot. But once again, no trouble at all, I would think. So if this one goes in, it puts Steve Mizerak back into the lead in the
Set game,
series.
second set to Steve Mizerak.
Mizerak runs 8 straight after White failed to make a ball on the break. So now Mizerak, taking the second set 3-1, takes the overall lead in the match 5-4.
This ESPN network program is
Really not.
That's quite something from Steve, with 20-odd stone behind a 24-ounce cue. How much more power would one want? But he failed to knock one in that time, so Jimmy in with a chance.
The table is open, and Jimmy opts for the stripes or high balls. Jimmy White trying to get back into this competition.
Yes, and we must say, Pat, that he's at the point of no return, of course. If he loses this game, he's lost the set and lost the series and lost everything. Well, not exactly everything, because he does get a slight compensation for being second.
That's right. In the overall picture, $10,000 added on to $10,000 for his victory in snooker. Runner-up money of $6,666 in straight pool, and way to be a runner-up tonight, another $6,000 plus. And moving nicely through the table now. White goes scratching.
Well, I would think that was terribly bad luck, Pat. Could play that shot another 50 times and that wouldn't have happened. Now that's opened things up again for Steve.
Mizerak with the ball in hand.
And of course, this gang can place the cue ball wherever he likes.
Mizerak, a three-time world pool champion in 1982, 3 and 4. A nice 3-year run. Willie Mosconi was a world champion 17 times, John.
Yes, we know all about him, Pat. His name, of course, is synonymous with pool.
His fame has crossed the sea then.
Oh, indeed. We've known of Mosconi and Willie Hop many years ago.
Now Mizerak looking at the 3-ball. Karen Mizerak perhaps adding up figures in her head as well.
Yes, I wonder if she's been shopping.
Yes, I know she's enjoying her stay in Deauville. And now Mizerak 1 ball away from the 8-ball.
Now that's got to be good enough.
8-ball, corner puck.
Big smile on Steve Mizerak's face.
Game, set, and match on this ball.
He's got to be joking, of course. He could knock that one in with the butt end of the cue.
Taking no chances, always the showman.
It brings a smile to Jimmy's face, even.
They have been very friendly competitors and enjoyed one another's
corner puck.
company, working with one another at each other's games. And Mizerak, team set and match along with the Fiat Challenge. To the victor go the spoils. A kiss from the wife, and Steve Mizerak takes the first set, 3-1. The second set, 3-2. And the third set, a 3-0 blanking of Jimmy White to capture the Fiat Challenge.
So Steve Mizerak, the reigning champion, does it again. Steve, you've now beaten the #1 and #2 of the snooker world. What's left for you?
You tell me. I don't know. He played great. I'll tell you, he didn't miss, and but I played pretty good myself, though.
Your wife actually bought a diamond and emerald ring a little earlier on. It's a good job you got the money to pay for it.
Yeah, I've got a few bob now, as you would call it. A few dollars, as I would call it.
Yes, you really had to be at your best, though, tonight. It looked as if you were.
Yes, I knew if I gave him an opportunity. He's played 8-ball before, and 8-ball is a very popular game in England. But I think maybe the size of the table threw him off or something like that. But he didn't miss much. Neither did I. So
well, let's ask him, Jimmy. Did the size of the table throw you off?
Not really. I think the break. I think I need to do some weights for the break next time. But,
you're certainly lacking a few stone there, aren't you?
But no, I enjoyed the 3 days, and you know, Steve played fantastic pool. He played a few shots tonight. I thought he's come in trouble 2 or 3 times. I thought I must get a shot, and he come out with like doubles and all sorts of shots. He deserves to win.
You did used to play something like this when you were a youngster, didn't you? Called poker pool or something. Is that right?
Yeah, we used to play in Zange, yeah, poker pool, but like it's a bit different to this.
Let's just have a word about that breaking, because it seems to me that if you don't get the break, you've really not got much chance.
Well, if you don't get the break, it's really not the break. It's a shot after the break that's very important, how the balls lay. If the balls are wide open, if Jimmy or I get to the table, neither one of us who's sitting down has a chance. So the break is very important. It's a big advantage to anybody who can hit them hard.
What are your memories of Deauville, Steve, then, before you slip away to think about your next challenge next year, perhaps? What are your memories of Deauville?
$50,000.
He only thinks of money, this man.
And the wonderful French people and the English people who came out to watch. I really appreciate it, and I want to thank the French people and all the people who are here from other countries. Thank you very much for coming, and it's been a beautiful 3 days. I really appreciate it. And the casino, very nice.
I think there's a lot of French people who won't understand that, but thank you very much indeed. Congratulations to both of you.
Vive la France.
Oh, he's going to have a few words in French.
Vive la France.
I remember President de Gaulle saying something like that.
Prepare it the way to go. And so Alan Hopkins breaks in the second game. He leads 1-0. And not a ball drops, so Buddy Hall will take over.
And no shot either. But I see one. I know he sees it right off, too. He's going to wind up playing a safety here. He's got a good shot for a safety, putting him right behind the 8 ball here. Yep, that was a nice, easy safety. They used to call that dirty pool, Tim. Now it's a nice shot, not a very friendly one, but a nice one. He's going to have to kick to try to hit this ball some way. I don't see no way out of the trap that he's in. He's looking for a little space to go to the right-hand top cushion there. He'll have to hit this with a little bit of right-hand spin on the cue ball, just trying to hit the 1 ball anywhere, get a little lucky. He just doesn't want to miss the 1 now and give Buddy Hall cue ball in hand.
Bingo. Oh, but he scratched.
In off the 1 ball. Tough break there. Buddy's really got to like this. I mean, to get up with cue ball in hand with the ball spread open like this, it will give him a little momentum in the game. And that's what he needs right now after the last rack where he's missed the ball. The 2 balls up table here. He's going to hit the cue ball a little bit low and draw the cue ball maybe about 6 inches or a foot. Straight in on the 2 ball. The 3 balls, the red ball up at the top end cushion. He'll want to try to get a little bit of an angle to get down for the 4 ball after the 3 ball, which is down by the 9 ball.
On the big board here at the Mirage, the odds at the beginning of this competition had Buddy Hall 8-5, Alan Hopkins 4-1.